Well, hey there, history lovers, and welcome on back to the porch. I'm Professor Colton P. Colton, and around here we don't just read history, we live it. Now, before we jump in, go on and slap that like button like it owes you money, and subscribe so you never miss another true story that's stranger than fiction. All right, now, grab your sweet tea, settle into that rocker, and let's turn back the pages of time right here on Back Porch History. Let's talk about one of history's absolute titans of art. We're talking about a man who could look at a plain old block of stone and see an angel, a masterpiece, just waiting to be set free. Okay, let's get into the incredible world of Michelangelo. And this right here, this single quote, is pretty much the key to understanding the guy. This wasn't just some artsy saying, it was how he saw everything. He truly believed the greatness was already inside, it just needed someone to uncover it. Oh, the real question is, how did this one powerful idea shape his entire life's work, from his very first sketches all the way to the giant dome of St. Peter's Basilica? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down in this explainer. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. It all started with a childhood passion. You see, Michelangelo's dad wanted him to be a businessman, a practical career. But young Michelangelo, he had a completely different plan. All he ever wanted to do was draw. So he's born in 1475. But the real magic starts when his family packs up and moves to Florence. I mean, can you imagine being a kid who loves arts and ending up in the art capital of the world? It was like pouring gasoline on a fire. And by the time he was just 13, he was already an apprentice to a big shot painter, and his talent was so off the charts it just blew the adults away. And I love this quote because it just brings him right back down to earth. We look at a genius like him and think it's some kind of magic, but he's telling us straight up, this wasn't magic. This was just an insane amount of hard work. All that hard work led him straight to his true passion, what he was really meant to do, sculpture. For him, the job wasn't about creating something from scratch. Nope. It was about chipping away all the extra stone to reveal the figure that was already trapped inside, and he gets to put this whole philosophy to the test. When he's barely out of his teens, he heads to Rome, gets a huge commission, and creates a sculpture that would basically make him a rock star. The piece was the Pietà, and it just blew people away. The emotion in Mary's face is so incredibly real, so peaceful, and get this, he made cold, hard marble look like soft flowing fabric. People could not wrap their heads around the fact that someone so young could create something so perfect. Just like that, he was famous all over Italy. So he's a star now. He heads back to Florence, and waiting for him is this impossible challenge. It wasn't some perfect piece of marble this time. It was a massive damaged block of stone that every other artist had already written off as junk. And this is what made him Michelangelo, right? Anyone else looked at this thing and saw a problem, a ruined piece of stone. But he saw potential. He saw the hero that was hiding inside that flawed marble just waiting to get out. So for 3 solid years, he basically locks himself away. No one knows what he's doing. And then in 1504, he unveils the statue of David, and the city of Florence just goes wild. This wasn't just some sculpture, it became a symbol of their city's strength, its courage, its freedom. And boom, there it is again, that same idea. David might just be the best example of this whole philosophy. He took something everyone else had thrown away, and with his vision and his skill, he set that angel free. So you think, okay, the guy has made 2 of the most incredible sculptures ever, maybe just let him keep sculpting, right? Nope. The Pope had other plans. He ordered Michelangelo, the master of marble, to paint the entire ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and Michelangelo was not having it. He's like, no way. I am a sculptor, he argued. He protested. But it's the Pope. You don't really say no. It was a serious clash of wills. But in the end, the Pope got his way. Just think about that. 4 years lying on your back, high up on some wooden planks, paint stripping in your face, your neck is screaming, and you're pretty much all alone up there. It was an absolute nightmare physically. But out of all that pain, all that struggle came this one of the greatest things ever created by a human being. And right at the center of it all is that iconic scene, the creation of Adam, where God's finger and Adam's almost touch. It's still one of the most famous images in the world. But here's the thing, if you only think of him as a painter and a sculptor, you're still missing a huge piece of the puzzle. The guy was a true Renaissance man. His genius went way beyond just stone and paint. I mean, the guy's talent was just off the charts. He was also a brilliant architect. He designed that massive, beautiful dome on St. Peter's Basilica. He was a poet too, wrote hundreds of poems. And on top of all that, He was a deep thinker who believed that art was one of the best ways to get at the truth. In this quote, this one really gets you inside his head. It shows you how he thought. He was always pushing, always reaching for something that seemed impossible. For him, the real failure wasn't trying and failing. It was not trying for something great in the first place, which brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why, after 500 years, do millions of us still travel all over the world just to stand and stare at his work? Why does he still matter so much? Well, for one, the man just never stopped. He lived to be 88, which was ancient for that time, and he was working, creating right until the very end. He died in 1564 and was buried back in Florence, the city where it all began. His whole life was just this testament to his incredible drive. I mean, when you boil it all down, his life kind of gives us this simple blueprint for greatness. It shows us that it's not some magic gift you're born with. It's built. It's built with non-stop hard work, with the patience to stick with something for years, and with the belief in the potential that only you can see. And that, right there, is probably the biggest takeaway from all of this. He didn't just see a rock. He saw what it could be. He saw the possibility inside of it. And that's a mindset that we can apply to absolutely anything in our own lives. Oh, he set angels free from marble. He found heroes in stone. The question he leaves for us is a little more personal. When you look at your own life, your own work, her own potential, what will you set free? Well now, that's today's tale from the back porch. Funny thing about history, it may be old, but the lessons sure don't age a day. If you enjoy this story, go on and give that like button a good solid tap, and subscribe so you don't miss our next trip back through time. It really helps keep this porch light on. I'm Professor Colton P. Colton. Thank you for spending a little of your day with me. Until next time, keep your curiosity sharp, your stories alive, and your fate planted in the past. We'll see you right back here on Back Porch History.